Hi crafters and welcome. So today we are going to make some bundles using this stamp set. Now remember, this is a bundle with the hot foil system, but I did not get the hot foil dies that go with this. So I bought the stamp just to use the stamp alone, and I'm loving the results. Now you're going to see what I did on the extra examples I made, but for today's card, I already pre-cut out the 5 different stamp sets and fussy cut them out. In fact, I did 2 of the mounts. The reason I did this was because I know you guys know how to fussy cut out items. I'm also going to be using, this is a piece of cardstock that I used on my technique of the week, and it was the sunrise sunset, and something got stuck on there. So I had little scritchies, but I didn't want to throw it away because you can always find a use for these. So here is what we're going to do. So again, these are the 5 stamp sets, 5 stamps in the set. Let me go ahead and show you. You do have to be careful with this sky one. There is a very, I'll say tender spot on that. So you want to make sure when you're pulling them off that you are careful and don't rip it. All right. So here's the 5 stamps. So what we're going to do is we're going to decide which one of these we want to use. And I'm going to cut this down. What I really want to do is I want to cover as much of those torn spaces as I can. So I think that I'm definitely going to put this mountain here. I'm thinking I'm going to layer this over it. And because of the way that waterline is, I'm going to layer it down a little bit more so I'm closer to that waterline. So we're going to tape all these down. Maybe I will move it over just a little bit. Oh, I do like that. That does look a little bit better. Because now then that's coming in kind of where that natural wave is. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on the back of all these. And I'm not going to use the sun one. When you stamp, the clouds one, I'm not going to use that because it doesn't really show up great on a card. You can't really see the stamp cloud effect, but I will show you how it looks when you stamp. So that's definitely what I would consider something that's better stamped versus cutting it out and doing paper piecing like we're doing here. All right, so I'm doing this so this will get just a little bit tacky. Now some of this we are going to end up cutting off, but I just want to be able for it to get tacky so that you want to be careful of these small little spots so that when we lay it down and cut it, it won't come straight off. So I'm doing very thin beads. I'm barely squeezing my precision tip bottle. Getting right into that corner, letting it get tacky. So yeah, so I didn't make you watch me cut these out, fussy cut them, but I'm making you watch me glue them all. All right, and the last one. This is the mountain peak that we're going to use as the starting point so we can cover up some of those oopsies I had from before. All right. All right. So I think I got that all pretty well glued down. I think I'm going to use the regular grass and not the flowers, even though the flowers would be pretty. I just feel like, you know, they're pretty much the same size too, but I feel like for this, I'm just going to use grass like it's like, you know, that wetlands grass you see by the water. So let me get out a couple of my tweezers here. And let's start with our mountain. Like I said, I want to try to cover up some of that white so you're not really seeing it too much. So I'm going to go just like that. And yes, it's coming off the side, but we're going to cut it down, so don't worry. Now with the mountains, I think we need to have the darker in back for like the shadow effect. So we're going to come up and I'm going to get my sleeve caught in the stickiness. All right, so we're going to come right up on that. And I think I want it just a little bit more over. There, I like it there. We're going to put this second one right over to cover it up. Now remember, we are going to cut this side off, so you're not going to see a lot of that. And yes, my line's a little bit higher up than my mountains, but I'm not too concerned with that. I'll put it down here so it's a little bit closer. All right, and then last but not least, I'm going to put the grass, I'm going to cover up that little spot. So that we're going to have some of that water left to give us like that lake look. All right, it's still sticky on the back. Let me put my glue back up there. Put my tweezers over there. So if you don't like getting glue on your cutter, this is probably not what you would want to do. I'm just trying to get as much of that on the edge as I can. So you see where my blades are going to come in. I'm going to push kind of hard because we're going through a couple layers of cardstock there. So we got that down. And then I'm going to see, oh, that's really good, like right at the 3.5 mark there. Oh, it is a little, but I need to do it this way because this is off. So let's do this at the 4 1/4. You know what, let me look really quick at my layers. Because if I do 4 1/4, you usually do 5 1/2. But if you do 4 1/4 this way, it would be 3. So let's do 4 1/4. And that means if we want it to be, and see, that's where the sticky comes in. And then it's saying 3. So I am going to be cutting off some of that mountain. I'm not that terribly concerned about it. You know what? We can be a little bit off. I don't want to cut off that much of the mountain. So let's just go like that and see how we like that. All right. So this is really more like almost like 3.5. So if we look here, 3.5 is either 2 1/4 or 4 3/4. So we're not going to have it completely layered like my layer kit shows, but I think we'll be okay with this. All right, let me put this over here for now. Now I realized when I was making my examples that I had not used, let me get them out here, any of my new in colors. I mean, cardstock wise, I haven't used hardly any of them. So remember, our newest in colors, and these are in no particular order. We have Peaceful Pine, Hydrangea, Hue, Crisp Cantaloupe, Golden Glow, Barely Blush. So let's look and see. These are just, I have cut these down into, are, you know, one layer down. So let's take one of each and see which color we like against that. And which one we'll use, because we're going to cut this down and then we're going to put it on a white card base. You know what? Maybe maybe we'll use a very vanilla card base, so it's not quite so stark. So now let's look and see how we like these. I feel like this, it just gets lost, especially if we go against here. I just feel like the Barely Blush is not enough. The Hydrangea Hue looks all right. That is a definite possibility. Crisp Cantaloupe. Now there's many other colors out there. Someone might say, why wouldn't I try to do like the Fresh Freesia or Highland Heather to bring out that purple? But, all right. Not so sure if I like the Crisp Cantaloupe. And the last, oops, two. So here is Peaceful Pine. Ooh, that does look kind of nice. I kind of like the Peaceful Pine. And here's the Golden Glow. Definitely don't feel like the Golden Glow does anything for it. It does kind of emphasize this color here. But for the most part, I'll put it over here on the not at this time. So I think it's between Peaceful Pine, Hydrangea Hue. I like Peaceful Pine the best. All right, so what I do is I figure out how much of a border I really want, and I'll glue this down. Now, I could use my seal, but I feel like when I'm cutting down for layers, especially since I have two different layers here, you know, where that grass met the other cardstock. You see that? How we have this layer here. I feel like when it's two different layers like that, I kind of want to use the glue. The glue kind of is forgiving when you have different heights on the back of your cardstock. All right. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up here like this, and I think I'm going to try to do a fourth in and a fourth down. So I'm kind of using that grid there to try to give me that fourth here and the fourth there, which is one of each of these squares. All right. So now here, I'm going to line that up. Here's where the fourth mark is here. So I kind of want to have that paper at that fourth of a mark. Pretty close. Again, here, I'm having it at that fourth of a mark. Moving it up, try not to move it too much. And there we have our frame. I am going to put it up here so we have room for a little saying down here. So now I will get out my seal, because now this is all one layer here. Seal is going to be a very strong adhesive to use. So I'm kind of looking, I'm measuring kind of by eye. I see I didn't really fold it. Great. It's a little bit off, but we're okay. And then I'm going to use, let's use banner sayings. I haven't used banner sayings in a while. Now this goes with the punch. So you could, oh, and I even have a bunch already stamped. Look at that. Should we see if we can find one? Yeah, I don't feel like that's a "You Are Loved." So I have quite a few. Should I do that? I think I'm going to do that one. But I could use, you know what? I like that lighter side there. Let's stamp on this one. kind of like, yeah, I kind of like that one. All right, but you could just stamp it straight down too, if you wanted to. And what we'll do here is, oh, I have a bunch on the floor now. We'll stamp it on here. If it doesn't look good, we'll go straight to the cardstock. All right, so let's do wishing you good things. Is that going to fit? That will fit. All right, so let's do wishing you good things. Which is right here. I'm going to get out my ink spot. Make sure it's nice and covered. Ah, there we go. I did good. All right, here I'm going to also put down the glue so I can get right in that corner so that banner will stick down. I could use dimensionals, but I think that I just want to stick with, since I have so many different layers here, stick with just the one layer here. I'm going to butt that right up to that green. All right. So there's our card. And if you want to, you could stamp some little birds in there or whatever. Here, oh, do you see what my camera just did? It stalled. Here are those, oh, I wonder if someone else is getting on the internet. You know, I live with 3 other adults and they all use the internet. All right, let me wait for that to cue back in. There we go. I'm also getting a shadow over here, so sorry about that. So those are the in colors. Let me show you what I did. So here I just stamped. I also colored in or blended a blue background, but then I went over with the shimmer brush. Can you see how it's shimmering? I think you can see a little bit. So yeah, so that was all just stamping. We can put a greeting right there. I usually don't put greetings on until I know what I'm using the card for. And then here, instead of doing the water, we did the mountains straight into the field. I should have taken a little bit of a brush there and softened that up. And then I used on the flowers to color in, I used the crisp cantaloupe, the golden glow, and the barely. So this one used this shimmer brush. This for the flowers I used these, the golden glow, the crisp cantaloupe, and the barely blush. So those were how I did the flowers. All right, guys. That's everything that I did having to do with the Shimmering Scenes stamp set. It does have hot foil dies that go with it, but I did not purchase those. But you can always buy this individually and still make stunning results. I hope you like this video. Go ahead and give me that thumbs up if you don't mind. Share on your social media. But most of all, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.